I was having a conversation the other basically day. They had to submit to the Lord, and it's in an uncomfortable place. We have to submit to the Lord, period, right? But submission is uncomfortable to our flesh. Submission does not allow us to hide. Submission does not allow us to cover up. Submission requires us to lay aside our soul's desire only for a moment, though. When you look up that word submission, that's what it's talking about. It's not forever. It is a temporary place to in order to fulfill maybe an eternal purpose or divine purpose. And what that purpose is could be for a work within you, not the natural thing that you see, right? I believe this is what I was sharing with them, that the Lord will establish a place for himself for a particular purpose. A lot of times ministries, and we've made it something that it never intended to be, ministries, places planted that we call ministry, but the ministry is actually the activity, but it's the service that it provides. But oftentimes it is an altar, right? That has been established by the Lord through the revealing of himself to the person that he is now, who has serviced that altar. And now that altar is a service, communicating, expressing God to those who would come, to those who would see, to those who would encounter for, right? When we look in the Old Testament and we see so-and-so built an altar and he called it this, for the Lord has done blah, 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 or for the Lord has basically revealed himself as blah, 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 right? Get it? Okay. So no matter what happens to that person who established that altar, afterwards, no matter what they decide to do, the altar has been put in place, and it reveals who God is. And so when the Lord establishes a ministry, even if the person who he made responsible for it decides not to continue with God, and yet that altar is still established. Remember Saul, right? Where he remained in the position of king. And so the kingdom continued, but without God governing through him. That's actually happened. But the Lord used it to mature, to establish, to train David. Samuel was his mentor. Yes, remember though, David was made a king through the pouring of the oil out of the horn of Samuel. So was Saul. Saul was made a king. It's interesting. Saul was made a king. I don't know if any oil was poured, but I know words were spoken. And there were the word had to be obeyed, and God was going to establish Saul through his obedience, through his submission. Saul failed. God continued to use what he had put in place, even though Saul refused to continue with God. Do you understand what I'm saying? And so there are ministries that are established by the Lord. Even if the one we call leader, they're leader in the regard of they go first, supposed to go first. But Saul was the leader, but he was not moving with God. He was not leading in obedience. He was not. Yet he was still appeared as king. Got it? So the Lord, though, will continue to use that place that was established by him train you, to strengthen, to establish you, to settle you and make you what you ought to be. Even if you have to suffer for a while, meaning allow some things that you normally wouldn't. David had to allow the javelins to be thrown. David had to allow some things. And even Jesus said, suffer to be so for now. John was like, this doesn't seem right. This is not the way that this should go, because I know who you are. But even though he knew who Jesus was, Jesus understood and recognized and submitted to the way of God, the order of God, the way that God was establishing a thing. Suffer to be so for now, to fulfill all righteousness, the right way of doing things, God's way of doing things. Yes, John was in the will of God. Jesus was in the will of God. The point being, God wanted to use John's ministry, and even the Christ, even Jesus, submitted to the will of God, even though it did not appear that it was right.